time I see PSL, whoa, coming in hot.
Yeah, maybe turn the monitors down
Chop.
just a bit. Sweet.
Coming in hot.
We're live. Awesome. Hello.
Right.
Hello.
We are on the air. Well, welcome to our it's becoming a semi-annual tradition, not semi-annual. It's an annual tradition.
Yeah.
We have on our Halloween night here at Christian Center. You know, we always want to be the voice of light and the voice of life. And so tonight, I know there's lots of different things going on tonight, but we're here right now. We've got our live show. We've got some people here painting in the background. You might hear some of that going on. But we want to have a night of life and a night of light. So tonight we're going to be doing some dreams that have been submitted to us from online. And we'll also possibly be doing some people live here. If we have some people that want to talk about their dreams live, we've got a chair here. So it's not too late to come on down to... No, I'm not going to do the car salesman thing. It's not too late if you want to come on down here. We'll be out here till... around 8-ish, 8:30. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So I of course, I'm Jon West, and this is...
I'm Donya
Moore.
Hello.
And our team are here. We had a lot of fun doing this last year. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to repeat a couple of the things that we said just to reiterate. Because in this time, if you're like me and you like to go to the movies, just going to the movies, you see all the different previews and they just make you feel like blah. And sometimes you have dreams like that. You wake up and you feel this gross slime on you, or a sense of terror, or some kind of other very strong emotion. And one of the things is nightmares. A lot of times, I say not a lot of the times, all the time. Nightmares are from the enemy, and one of the things that they try to do is they try to intimidate us out of the spirit realm. They try to make us so scared of one of the ways that God wants to talk to us that we just literally go, I don't want to do that anymore, and we shut it off. It's very common for small children to have nightmares, is because the enemy doesn't want them to receive information or the letters and the stories from heaven, and so he tries to intimidate them and scare them to where they don't want to have dreams. And I know, for myself personally, that manifested in my late teens. When I was around 18 to 20, I had nightmares every single night, and it got to the point where that was a real amplifier of the depression that I was in, and it made me just, eventually come to the point where I was at a place of suicide, and the Lord rescued me out of that, and now I want to have dreams. Like I'm not afraid to go to sleep. I was afraid to go to sleep when I was 18. I would not go to bed until I heard the birds chirping in the morning. That was my signal that it was safe to sleep. And so, so what happened? What do we do when we have a nightmare? Well, there can be a couple of different things at play. The first one that you want to look at is the dream is the enemy actually trying to intimidate you out of an area that you're called to do. Mm-hmm. And I think this is really one of the more common ones. I've been around the world, and it's very common for people to have a dream where they're being choked by the throat, or some demonic thing has grabbed them, and or put something on their mouth to where they can't talk, and they're trying to say the name of Jesus and they just can't. And that's a very common dream to have. And then they eventually end up getting Jesus out, and the nightmare's over, but they wake out in a cold sweat kind of thing. And that kind of blends a little bit with a warfare dream, but most of the time that feels like a nightmare. And that is the enemy trying to intimidate you by shutting down your voice. It wants to attack your voice. It wants to say, like, hey, you will not speak any kind of life. You won't testify. Like it says in John 1:1, we announce to you what we have seen, what we've heard, what we've handled, and we announce to you that God is light, and in him there's no darkness at all. It tries to get you into that place where you won't be able to say those kind of things, and it's very constricting in that sense. So what do? Well, when you wake up in the morning, you do the opposite of what the dream has tried to intimidate you in. You sit there and you go, I'm going to release love with my mouth. I'm going to worship the Lord. I'm going to very specifically, like, hey, I'm going to share something with someone about Jesus. I'm going to share what part of the hope that I have. And in that way, I always describe it in fighting terms. Instead of, the intimidation part is like, if two guys, if you've ever seen them fight, they kind of get up close to one another and they're like, what's up, kind of thing. And they kind of bump each other a little bit. That's like you throwing the first punch and hitting the enemy in the mouth. And if you throw the first punch a lot and then just keep punching the enemy, pretty soon he goes, okay, I've got to switch my strategy and come another way. The other thing to consider, which we'll actually illustrate this later tonight, is there's sometimes when you are watching certain things that are like horror movies and things like that, that actually opens up a spiritual realm where demonic things have access to your home, and they come into the form of your dreams. I used to teach, when we had a Montessori school here at the church, I used to teach chapel from kids that were from first grade through 8th. And I always remember this one little boy who was like in the 4th or 5th grade. He would always have these really horrible nightmares with It the Clown in it. What's its name? Pennywise.
Yeah, Pennywise.
Pennywise. Yeah. Pennywise the Clown, from It, I should say. And he would have these horrible things, but one of the things that was always cool about his dreams, or he'd be trying to get abducted by aliens or something that.
Yeah.
And he would always have these weapons of light come into his hand.
Yeah.
Where, he's telling me this really awful dream, and I was like, dude, what? I said, well, what'd you do? He goes, I just made a ray gun, and I just shot him with a big bazooka of light. And I'm like, awesome. And so, but I was trying to find an access, and I said, well, do you like to watch it? Do you like to watch Pennywise? He goes, no. He goes, I don't like it. He goes, but my brother watches it all the time.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. So here's somebody there, his little spirit was being influenced by something that, his brother was watching, right? And so that allows things into the room. And it's something that, sometimes we don't really, I know sometimes that even in our society to do that sometimes is made fun of a little bit, like, oh yeah, you just opened up a demonic portal by doing something. But it's if you've ever had I've had too many spiritual encounters to know, I know that one is true.
Yeah.
I know it's true, and it's something where it's like, hey, if you want to be dumb, enjoy your torment. No, I'm not going to. We don't want you to enjoy that, but it's, you know what I'm saying? So when we have those kind of things, we need to look like, okay, is there something that we may need to get rid of? I remember once I had I was at a friend's house, and they were letting me watch a UFC fight. And I walked out of their, I was about to leave their house, and I walked by their bedroom, and I felt something really, really demonic in their bedroom. Like really dark. And I didn't go in their bedroom, of course, because it's not my house. But I left and I said, hey, thanks for letting me use your house to watch a pay-per-view, because I didn't have cable. And I said, hey, there's something. I said, I don't know what this is. I said, but you might want to look at your room. There's something in there that's like dark. And they were like, oh, okay. And come to find out later, they had bought this movie called Rosemary's Baby, which is a classic horror movie from the 60s about a woman who gets impregnated by the devil. Yeah. So that's, don't have movies in your house where people are impregnated by the devil. That's a tip number 1. Just
Louder.
the more you know. So I know that's a revelation from the book of Duh for some of you, but some people, they just don't know, or they kind of like to play around with it, and it's nothing to be played with. We could spend a lot of times talking.
We live in a culture, too, where I know several people, it's a strange thing, but I know several people that they can identify when they struggled with fear, and it went back to Scooby-Doo as a kid. I know several people. And, you know, the whole thing of Scooby-Doo is that the monsters aren't real, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, that's the whole message is like, oh, these monsters are terrifying you, but they're not real, you know? And that's the culture we grew up in, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that really
No,
influences
it's funny
us a
you
lot.
mentioned that. I was
So-
not allowed to watch Scooby-Doo when I was a kid because it would give me nightmares.
Yeah.
As a kid, and it's really like when you look at it, it's probably the least occultic show
Yeah.
out there.
But I know like 3 people, and so I'm like, man,
Wow.
there's something there, you know? So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
'cause
think
it
about that.
does
It's a
have that
cultural
thing with
thing.
fear.
Yep. It's not,
Yeah.
that's the tactic of the enemy. Oh, you don't need to be worried about these things. They're not real, you know?
Yeah, there's sometimes it masks itself in innocence. I'll never.
Yeah.
I remember somebody always. Of course, I hated the Smurfs growing up when I was a kid. I thought it was a dumb cartoon, but somebody was like, "There's a lot of occult stuff in there." I'm like, "What? It's just got like a wizard or something." But then I like watched the show later on when I was older, and I was like, "Oh my God, Papa Smurf's literally putting a pentagram in the fire on the thing, and he's drawing a circle around it."
I
I'm
never
like,
watched
"Oh my
that.
God,
That's wild.
this is,
That's wild.
Smurfs are wild." But anyway, yeah, I don't care for the Smurfs. But all right, well, so that's just a few quick, like a brief overview of things you can do just to kind of like that is. And so we're going to get into some of the dreams that you've submitted to us here online, and there's a lot of variety here. We don't have just nightmares. We have several.
We have a pretty wide range of types of dreams.
We
so-
do have a wide range, and I'm very thankful to thank you to all of you who
Yes.
sent them in. Let's see. Let me find my. I don't have it. I'm looking for my.
Do you need it on mine?
Boom.
You got it?
I got it. Boom. All right. So the first dream that we're going to look at is a dream from, we're not going to use any last names here, but the first dream that we have is from Catherine. And this is a dream that is really interesting because, I hate to tell you, Catherine, it's the kind of dream that we can't fully interpret here on the show. One, because it's got a lot of family things in there that we don't. We would ask a lot of clarifying questions in order to really fully interpret this dream the right way. Because sometimes, like when I was reading this dream, and I'll read this as an example of, there's sometimes where we have a dream where we have to ask some questions of the dreamer because you can take the dream one or two ways. And there's types of dreams sometimes that are warnings. And then there's types of dreams that are self-conditioned dreams where the Lord is trying to tell us that it's an attitude in us that he's trying to say, hey, I want to put my finger on that and say, you think you're doing one thing, but you're really doing another, and you're really, it's kind of like showing you that you have pride. And why did you have a dream about it? Well, because like most people, if someone came to us and said, hey, you're acting in pride, we would go,
What?
No.
What?
We would not, peel the banana. I'm not prideful, right? So we would do
get
that.
defensive.
We would get defensive, and it would lead to nowhere. So the Lord tells us a story where we start to ask a question. We go, well, Lord, what does this dream mean? And that's something to keep in mind whenever you're, when you have a dream. Many dreams are not just the final say on something. They're actually a conversation point is what I like to call it. It's something where you sit there and you go, okay, Lord, what do you think about this? And it opens up a conversation where you can have a transformational encounter with him. Okay, so this dream is the type of dream where it could go two ways, but I'm just going to read you as an example. So if you ever hear one out there, and and in this case, I don't know the person that sent this, or if I do, I don't recognize your last name because I can see it. But these are the kind of dreams where you would really want to be able to process out a long time with the person, rather than just kind of go, oh yeah, this is what it means. Because whenever there's dreams that involve big decisions like family conflicts, or you're going to move, or it has to do with a big purchase, or as we'll talk about later, relationships. You want to be careful. You want to handle those with care, because that is somebody's heart at the end of the day, and we believe that as well. We tell this to every person in the class. If you give me a dream that has one of those 4 areas in it, even if I think I have it right, I'm going to run it by somebody else who is somebody I think is an experienced dream interpreter, just in case I miss something, just in case maybe the tone that I would interpret it in is not 100%, because we want that. But I'll just give you an example of one. This is one that it could be a warning dream, but it could also be a self-conditioned dream. And what I mean by that is it could be the Lord showing the dreamer that, hey, you think you're doing something that's spiritual, but it's not exactly right. It's not a warning. And let me give an example of that. I was talking to a guy here earlier, and we were talking about, I was giving him an example of this. I once was in Holland, and I had a lady. She goes, hey, I need to talk to you. And I said, okay. She said, can I talk to you private? I said, sure. She said, I had a dream about my pastor. And I said, okay. I said, what was the dream? And she says, well, I have this dream that we're sitting in this meeting, and then my pastor wants everybody to stand up, and he wants everybody to go into this big pool that's down at the altar where he's at. And in the pool, as she said, there are great white sharks, there are snakes, like pythons, all kinds of stuff, and then there are electric eels to kill people, And she's like, all these people stood up to go gump, and I was up there going, no, don't go, and so I listened to that dream, and I was like, wow, that's sharks, snakes, and electric eels. It's pretty excessive.
Pythons.
You only need one of those really to kill somebody, right? So because of the nature of that, I just asked her a simple question. I said, look, before we get into this, I said, this dream, I said, can I just ask you a question? Real honest. I said, it's not a judgment thing. I said, are you bitter with your pastor right now? Are you bitter at him? And the lady just broke down and cried just from that one thing. She said, I am. I am, and I'm upset with him. He made a decision that I don't think is right, and I really am. I'm upset and I'm bitter. And I'm said, this dream is trying to tell you that this has gotten so big that it's literally gotten to where you'd have to have great white sharks, pythons, and electric eels to kill somebody. Yeah. And the reality is, you could probably, judging by James Bond movies, one of those will do, right? So, so we're able to pray. It was a self-conditioned dream that kind of said, hey,
this is in your heart.
This is in your heart. Do it and examine. And listen, I also say this.
Good on her for being honest too.
Yeah. And good on her for being honest. And so the thing is that if we can, if you have a dream and it's about somebody that you don't like, okay, you already don't like, you don't normally need a confirmation for that, right? Like if you really don't like somebody, pick somebody that you don't like. Like if you don't like, I don't know, I swore I was
about Kamala.
Yeah, I was going to try to stay away from politics. Let's just say a movie that you don't like. Yeah. Just say, if you already don't like the movie and you have a dream where it's like you don't like the movie, it's probably that's not a good example because I'm talking about a person. Yeah. If you have a person that you don't like let's just say I don't like Danya. Yeah. I do like Danya, but if I had a dream where I was offended with Danya and I didn't like her, and I thought, well, Danya is just such and such, I'm not going to get a dream from the Lord going, you're right.
Yes, she is.
She's a jerk. The thus saith the Lord. She's a jerk. I'm not going to have that. That's not a dream because I already think that.
You don't need revelation.
I don't need a revelation about that. Okay, so it's just something to keep in mind. If you're offended with somebody and you have a dream about them,
just be careful with it.
Be careful with it because it may be the Lord trying to show you that there's something in your heart that you've judged that person by and not righteously. Pop. So, on just this could be a warning dream too, though. You could take it two ways, but I'm just going to read it to you as an example of one. And the dream starts off with an unexpected attack in my dream. I woke up in my cousin's house, and they were not there. Her husband was there. And as I walked toward them in the kitchen, the Holy Spirit said, "Watch out, for he is untrustworthy." And after that, I informed him that I was going to leave, and I'll be right back. As I was walking away, I looked toward a hallway, and I see two gentlemen on the right side, which is my son. Which was one of them was the person's son. And the Holy Spirit said, "He is in bondage." I suddenly said, "Go in the room and stay in the room, and I'll be right back." Then on the left side, there was another room, and my cousin was there standing. And the Holy Spirit said, "He has a stronghold." So then I told him to go up to the room and do not come out for whatever reason. I had the urge to leave. I do not know where I was going. I went outside, and there was a taxi cab there. I have no clue where I went because it felt like I blacked out and woke up on the porch floor. As I woke up, I was getting up. I saw my cousin and her daughter walking toward me. My cousin said, "Hey, come inside," and I stood up. I noticed my white pants were full of mud. On the right side, I was laying. Then her daughter, their cousin, another cousin, jumped out and attacked the dreamer. Recently, with them on the ground, there was a cliff she was trying to throw them off. The cousin was trying to throw her off of a cliff, and I looked down the cliff, and there's a sharp object pointing out from the ground, and she's trying to throw her off the cliff to impale her on the cliff. And so he wrestled for a little bit, and then they both fall off the cliff. She basically throws her cousin off the cliff. The cousin grabs her on the way down, and landed next to the sharp object. We climbed back up as if nothing happened and went inside the house. And their cousin was in the room dyeing her hair with a thick hair dye, so thick it made it look like it could have been made of mud, but it was gel, so it wasn't mud. And then her daughter sat on the top of the table, swinging her legs back and forth as if nothing had happened, bopping her head side to side. I'm looking at them and wondering, do you not know what is going on here? Do you not feel the evil? And then I woke up. Okay, so that's an example of, to me, you could take that dream two ways. It could be a warning dream about all the people in that household, basically, because you have a couple different types of cousins. My gut feeling, though, is it's probably not that. It's probably the Lord trying to say to the dreamer, "Hey, there's some offense," because in the dream there's no resolve, and a lot of times when it's a dream with the Holy Spirit in it, there might be a fight, there might be a war, but there's a resolve that happens where there's a clear winner and loser and light and darkness. And in this dream, again, it's tough to say, and I'm not saying this is like the final word on it, but in this dream, there's a lot of stuff that's unresolved. Everything just goes to the room, and
there's no redemptive aspect.
Yeah,
to it.
there's no real redemptive
or direction on how to deal with it.
Or direction, because, and also go to your room would not be dealing with the problem. That would be the everything just okay. Go to your room. Go to your room. Go to your room. And the rooms are still occupied, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So again, that's a tough one. But when you hear that, those are the kind of dreams you really have to sit down and process out with people. We would have to figure out because in dream symbolism, people can represent things
a lot
to
of
you.
Different things, yeah.
And so we'd have to go through and go, hey, what does each person here represent for you? So, sorry we can't totally help with that. But that's just a general direction that you would want to roll with it that way. All right, the next dream we have a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Still a serious one though, and you can take that one away.
Yeah, so we got this dream in from an Andrew, and it's a cool dream, I think. I'm gonna read through the dream first, I think, and then we'll talk a little bit about what type of dream it is. But the dreamer says, I can't remember if this was a dream or a vision, but I was in a very large public space, like a mall or a convention center, and there were lots of people around. I didn't recognize anyone inside the building. Everyone was walking around, shopping and talking, and we heard this airplane, and we could tell it was going extremely fast and very low. A bunch of us ran over to the big windows on the west side of the building, and we could see what looked like a passenger plane flying fast and low. Directly above the passenger plane was a B-52 bomber, and it had all these cables hanging from it, and it was trying to attach to the passenger plane. It never did, though, and by this time, the passenger plane had flown behind some trees, crashed, and seemed to explode. I remember it was very vivid orange and red light, all the colors of fire, but it wasn't. Nobody in the building seemed alarmed by what just happened, and then the dream ended. So we thought this was an interesting dream. We would call this like an intercessory dream where you're getting revelation on something to pray about, and also kind of, I felt like a little bit of like a calling dream. So the story of the dream is you are watching, we don't know what type of group of people, but you're watching a group of people going somewhere too fast, and you have this B-52 bomber comes in, which B-52 bombers, they're military, so you could see that as governmental, or you could just see it as something with like power and authority. And they're trying to attach and they're trying to connect, but they don't succeed in connecting. And the passenger plane that's going too fast, it explodes. And so it's like a picture of something to pray about, where you're watching people going too fast, and you have people who have more authority and more power trying to connect and trying to rescue and save, but they're not successful in connecting. And so that would be a dream where you'd want to pray, if you start to see things like that, to pray that authority is able to connect and help and rescue before there's like a crash out, And it felt a little bit like a calling dream too, because at the end, the dreamer said that they noticed that nobody in the building seemed alarmed at what just happened. And that indicates to me that they were alarmed. And so it's something that they're seeing that it really affects them and disturbs them, And so there's something in you that there's like this call to pray for those types of situations, and to pray for people who need connection with someone walking in like greater power, greater authority, And so that's what we were getting off of the dream.
Yeah, and that ability to just people to pull them up out of the space they were in, to get them higher.
Yes.
And I think I was thinking about this afternoon when we were reading these dreams again, and I remember at a time once I went to a local middle school, and we decided to talk about dreams with some middle schoolers. Just an example of when we have an intercession dream like this, how it's really a call to pray and ask the Lord to just either show us what specifically it's talking about, or just to pray that in general speaking, that authority is able to connect with those who are flying too fast and too low.
Yes.
And so I remember I went to this middle school to speak at an FCA event, and we had I think the weather was bad or something, so they had like a smaller crowd than they normally had, and they had about 11 or 12 kids in there. And so we just decided to talk about dreams. And so I talked to, as the first kid, I said, hey, I said, what was your dream? And they said, well, I had a dream that I was in a plane and it crashed. Okay, that's it? Yeah, I just saw this plane and it crashed. Okay, go on to the next kid. What was your dream? Oh, my dream was I saw that a plane crashed. Okay, go on to the next kid. I was in a plane and it crashed. Go on to the next kid. Yeah, I was in a small plane and it crashed. And we went down the line. 8 out of the 11 kids, 8 out of the 11 or 12 kids in that room, all had a dream about a plane crashing. All of them. It was a little bit of a different story, but it was the same thing. And that's something about dreams. There's sometimes that, there might be a little bit of a variation, but it's still the same story.
Mm-hmm. Bless.
So I was like, Lord, what's up with this? And he goes, I want to teach these kids about how prayer works. And I said, okay. So I said, look, we don't know what plane this is. I said, but let's pray against plane crashes right now, because we know the Lord does not want planes to crash. Let's pray. So we just stopped and we prayed. And we had the kids pray, short, simple things where it's like, hey, Lord, would you please, rescue anybody out of everything? And so that was it. No bells or whistles. Just I think when you have a dream like this, and it's part of like your calling, you pray until the burden lifts. Mm-hmm. So we prayed until that burden lifted, and so a day later, 1 day later, or 2 days afterwards, 1 or 2 days, I look in the news, and Morgan Freeman, who's an actor, who's doing a documentary about God, of all things, is flying over Louisiana, and his plane begins to malfunction, and they literally have to make an emergency landing in Mississippi, and they have to fix the plane or they would have crashed. And to me, I the teacher at the school was like, "Did you see this?" And I said, "Show that article to the kids."
Yeah.
Because I believe that it was that plane crash was stopped. I believe that the pilots found the right thing at the right time, and they were able to land quickly, even though they had to land in Mississippi. So, I'm not throwing shade there. I'm just saying. Mississippi's got a lot of great parks there. So, but yeah, that's just an example of sometimes when we have a dream and we see something that it's negative. It's not. We really have to make sure we ask the Lord when we have a dream like that. Mm-hmm. Is this something that can be averted, or is it something that's going to happen? Okay, because I believe that the Lord shows a lot of times. Will show the plans of the enemy because He doesn't want them to happen, much more than He's just like, hey, this is inevitable. You can't do anything about it. And one of the reasons, that, again, like dreams kind of enforce prayer. Remember when Jesus, he said, hey, when certain tribulations come, He said, pray that it doesn't happen in the winter. Yeah. Pray that it doesn't happen in the winter,
means
so
it's
that
avoidable. Means it's avoidable.
Yeah, it means that your prayer can actually shift the season that something comes in.
Yes.
Sometimes there's events that are going to happen, but you can actually shift the season to where it's actually a little bit more palatable.
Yeah. I was thinking too, this is coming to my head, and so I was thinking about sometimes, and that's not a case in this dream, but sometimes you get dreams that give you strategy on how to pray.
Sure.
Because I remember one, and you actually interpreted this dream for me, but I had a dream where I saw this dark house, and I went over to pray for it by myself, and the door flew open, and this wind blew out, and it was so familiar, and it freaked me out, and I had to run, and I had fiery darts going at me. And your interpretation of that was like, hey, don't go alone.
Right.
Because I knew when I saw the house in the dream that I was supposed to go pray for it.
Right.
And houses a lot of times they can symbolize people, because you're a tabernacle, you're a temple, And so fast forward a little bit, and we're like in church, and there's a girl that she'd been coming for a while, and asking for prayer, and we could tell it was demonic, but she wasn't quite ready, right? And then I was like in the lobby, and you sent out one of the other members of our church with her, and you were like, she's ready, go take her to the women's restroom and pray with her, you know. And the person you sent out looked at me, and she said, will you come pray with me? I had a dream and I'm not supposed to pray alone. And I was like, I had a dream and I'm not supposed to pray alone. And this person that needed prayer was someone that I didn't know in what way, but what they were dealing with was very familiar to me.
Right.
And when we went in, one of the things she was dealing with was familiar to me, and one of the things was familiar to the person I went in with.
See?
And so we were able to lead her through. And so that was just a prayer of like, hey, like if this situation comes up and you're going to pray for someone with this familiar thing, just don't go alone.
Yeah.
You know? And we were able to take that thing out, and they got deliverance that night where you really felt it lift and leave, you know, and it was a beautiful thing. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that, because it's like, hey, that's the strategy. The Lord goes, hey, I know that if this thing tries to hit, it'll hit you here, and I know the other person.
Yep.
But together, you know, we can stronger together, right? It's why the Lord sent them out 2 by 2.
Yeah.
And so, that's beautiful. All right, so we're gonna check real quick. Do we have anybody here live that wants to do
Hannah,
any dreams?
do we have anyone that wants to come on? All right, cool.
All right.
All right, it is time.
We've got, like I said, we're doing it here live. We've got some people who are
we got people back here painting too, just having a fun time, just painting things for each other, you know, just some lighthearted fun.
Got a couple people over here that are just watching, and they want to.
And again, if you're here and you really want prayer, we also have someone here able to pray for you. So just remember that. All right. Our friend Colby. Colby's a coffee regular here. We like him. Howdy, howdy. Just make sure you got the mic just about like this from your mouth. Yeah, there you go. You're a musician. You know what's up, man. That's true. That's true.
All right.
All right. Welcome, both of you.
Hello.
This is like a new format we're trying. It's kind of fun, just having a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't feel like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It just feels like we're with friends.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I love it.
It's like we're going to start a podcast called Circle of Friends.
Circle of Friends.
I think that's already taken, or that was a movie back in the day.
Circle of Friends just makes me think.
Circle of Friends.
Circle of Life. Okay, well, this is Colby.
Hey.
And I actually didn't hear the dream. I heard
know
a few
Colby.
themes from the dream, but John, you heard it before the show.
Okay.
And he was open to sharing it with us.
All right.
And from what I hear, you dream a lot, and you're
All the
open
time.
to, you're open to the Lord speaking to you. And so you can start from beginning to end, and then we'll take it away with what we feel like the Lord is having a conversation with you, or, you know, if it's a tactic from the enemy.
Cool. Yeah. So I was on a holiday with some friends, and we ended up down by a pond. And there were a lot of people around, and none of them wanted to go like in or near the pond. It was kind of murky, but everybody knew there were snakes in this pond. It was just inundated with snakes, but nobody could see the snakes. The water was murky, but I could see through the water, and I could see all the snakes in the pond. And there was this little pier that was like dilapidated, that extended out over the water. Nobody would ever touch the pier. That's why I assumed it was dilapidated, because like nobody wants to go near this place. So like it didn't have any rails, and there was like broken, but I could see the snakes, and I wanted to get a closer look. So I started crawling out over this pier. And I mean, it's like chunks, you know, like falling, and it's like swaying as I'm going. I'm having to crawl. Like I can't stand and walk. I'm having to crawl on this thing. And I get out kind of close to the end, and there's a little piece like broken off, and I could look down, and I saw this snake come swimming up, and it was like, it kind of felt like it was like the snake was a little out of place, like it was a special kind of snake. And it had like this, like the face of a human, or like a mask that a person would wear. Like it was like white. And so it swam up and kind of tried to get up at me, but I couldn't tell if it was like, it didn't seem like it was trying to get me or anything, but it was coming up near. And I just was fascinated, you know. And then it swam away. And then I made it back to the shore, and I told my friends about a previous experience where I had been there before, and I saw a giant snake. Like I thought I saw it as like an anaconda, just like a huge snake at that same pond before.
And you're still in the dream telling your friends
Yeah.
previously how you visited this pond.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the dream world.
Okay, in the dream world. So how does it end?
That was it.
That was
That's
it. Okay.
That was it.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to repeat the dream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
that's
for
what
it.
we
Go
do
for
in
it.
dream class.
We like to do this to clarify.
Yes,
so.
to make sure we're on the same track. So
And we also do this too because the more somebody talks about their dream, the more
More
they
revelation comes sometimes,
remember it. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that the snake that had the face was like a white. You said it was a white snake.
No, the snake was dark, but
It was dark.
It had
the
like
face
white
was
mask.
white.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was-
okay.
I
and see, I missed that detail
Yeah.
the first time I listened to it.
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So no, you're fine. That's good. So the dream begins, and there's this big murky pond, and you're with friends. Your friends can't see what's in the pond.
Nobody can.
Nobody can see.
There
Can
was
you see?
There were a lot of people around. Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see.
But
through
you
it.
could
It was
see, yeah.
perfectly clear.
Perfectly clear
Yeah.
to you, but your friends can't see anything, and you're really intrigued. Is there any fear in the dream? Like
No.
you're just curiosity. Is everyone else scared in the dream?
Everybody else was scared of the
Terrified.
pond. They would not go near it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna go see what's out there, and you start walking on this pier. This pier is
Crawling.
crawling
Crawling
on
on this pier.
the
Yes.
pier.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's dilapidated parts of it, and then you get towards the end, and you see this big, and you're seeing everything that's in the pond at this point. And then this big snake comes in. You said it wasn't not an anaconda.
No.
This one was pretty small. It
Yeah.
was
Okay,
small,
small.
but it was like, it stood out as being
Okay.
like, not even, it wasn't like entirely snake. It almost struck me as like, this is special. This is like a salamander or something rare. Like,
Interesting.
but it looked like
Got
or
lost
maybe
from
even an
Medusa's
eel.
head. It was just
Yeah, well,
there,
it just stood out, and then, but it was pretty small, elongated, and it had like a little bit of striping, but it had, the face was what was so
Yeah.
just like, what
Oh
the
yeah, and it looked almost human to you, right?
yeah, like sort of.
Sort
Like
of.
it wasn't entirely a human face. It was just almost like a mask.
Okay.
But all I could really make out was just like two eye slits, and then like I didn't see a mouth, but like a little bit of something for a nose. That was it. But it was so tiny. I mean,
Okay.
it was like it was pretty small.
Small, black, white mask,
Yeah.
a face that wasn't necessarily human, but wasn't necessarily obviously the animal either.
Yeah.
And then you don't get bit, nothing dangerous happens. You start crawling back.
Yep.
And then you go tell your friends that you visited this pond before and that you saw an anaconda at one point.
Yep.
So you're telling these stories. And then are they in fear, or do they seem to have some
Everybody
sort of
was
courage?
just like, this is wild.
Okay, crazy.
Like this is what is going on.
Okay, cool.
And like they're just like confused how I could even see what was going on.
Okay. Okay.
But
And then that's the end of the dream.
that was it.
I think that's a great dream.
That's a great dream, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I tell you, you guys can go, and then I'll tell you what I said.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking, because something in our dream class too that we learn about is, okay, if you can give the dream a title. Danya was kind of giving a lot of titles to the dreams that were submitted, which is a super fun way to kind of give a theme and give some sort of a focus. But it sounds like the theme or the focus of this would be like, you can see things and they can't.
It's clear to me.
Yeah, it's clear to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's clear to me. Or, like there's this, maybe
Yeah.
that would be the best way to put it. But I mean, if you want to go with your interpretation of it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the story of the dream is it's almost kind of like it feels like a calling dream to me, where there's something inside of you where there are things lurking that are maybe murky to other people, and that they're maybe even afraid because they don't understand them, that there's a grace for you to look into these things, but be careful at the same time and recognize that it is dangerous, right? That like these things aren't neutral. They're not, but to look in and to be able to see it and see in great detail, like what these things are, and to be able to describe them, and to be able to give people revelation about them, and that's kind of the story of the dream. So I would think that was like a calling dream of like something God has placed inside of you and something you'll be able to do for your friends, like give them revelation about stuff that's murky and stuff that's dangerous, because they recognize things are dangerous, but they don't have revelation about it and what it is and why, And so that was what I was getting from the dream.
Yeah. And something that, too, as you were talking, that stood out to me was the fact that you had to get low on this bridge to be able to reach that revelation.
Exactly.
And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think there's like a humility that you have to go into that process.
Humble and cautious.
Cautious of, okay, the Lord's going to be revealing things to you that you can see from a distance, but your curiosity will bring you closer. But I think it's that fear of the Lord and fear of you're not just, like you're not all jolly walking on the dilapidated bridge,
I'm gonna go look into these things.
Exactly. There's this fear of I know what I can see, and being able to communicate that back whenever you come back to your friends.
And I mean, I think I agree with what they're saying. The only other thing that I would add on is it because the bridge is something that was falling apart when you were crawling on it. It means that you're not going to be able to do that all the time. It's really going to be a time where you're going to have to stay from the shore and go, oh yeah, that's that and that's
because the dream didn't. I mean, you could see from a distance. You didn't have to get that close.
You didn't have to get that close in order to identify that it's there. And so to me, like I said, you can see things where other people can't see and recognize, and people might go, ooh, I don't think you can get it. But at the same time, it's also telling you, like, you don't have to go that far to know.
That's good. Yeah.
You don't have to go that far to know to communicate what it is that you recognize, and so I like that I like that interpretation.
Does that make any sense to you? Does that feel
I mean,
good?
It's all happening in the backdrop of learning a lot and reading a lot. I was talking to you about this earlier. Where it's like
we interpreted a little earlier.
Cool.
This makes sense.
But
explain to them, because I mean that's a picture of what the dream's kind of talking about to me.
It felt relevant. Like I've been reading a lot of psychology books, a lot of philosophy, and just kind of inundating myself like massively. And it can kind of get you in this place, a headspace that can be just, I don't want to say unhealthy, but unstable to a degree.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like, it's been good for me, but recognizing when it starts to feel unstable.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
And,
that's cool.
And just like, okay, all right. But then I'll pull back and it kind of comes in waves where it's like, I'll pull back, but then I'm like, okay, I kind of want to go back to the water. You know what I mean? Like, I always talk about it as like land and water.
Sure.
Like more I'm inundated in that world, it's like more in the water. And then when I'm, taking a break, I'm like, oh, let's get back to land. And
Well, and that dream, and to me, that dream is telling you, hey, it's okay for you to read and look into. There's a great, some people can't do that.
Yeah.
Some people just believe whatever the last book they read. They just like, it's just hop from thing to thing. It's like one day it's body language, and the next it's, oh, well, if someone crinkles their nose, then that means they're a liar. That kind of stuff. You can get really wrapped. They just believe whatever the next thing is. They don't look at something that's critical thinking or with eyes of discernment. And we were talking earlier. In Ecclesiastes, it says, I think it's in chapter 12. It's not. It's chapter 11. It says, "My son, and after everything, remember this: that the writing of books is endless, and the reading of many books is wearisome to the soul." Wow, and so there's a place where you can read so much that your soul is weary. And this goes for not just you might think, well, yeah, it does. Psychology and philosophy, those are kind of heady things. Particularly philosophy and psychology is a very 1-2 punch. But you can do that even with reading
politics,
news, books about the Bible instead of reading the Bible.
Yeah, it's documentaries.
And you'll notice that you're inundated with information where you really just don't want to read the word anymore. you just have this thing where you go, I don't think I want to read.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, all the things that you've read about it come into your mind rather than what's actually there.
That's good.
Sometimes, and you find that, I mean, this is not necessarily the focus of the show, but if you ever find yourself getting cynical about God, it's probably because you've listened to more people talk about God than actually read about it. And it's always if ever you get to the place, it's good to we're not reading any commentaries, we're just reading the gospel.
Yeah.
And just, this is Jesus.
Going back to intimacy.
This is who he is. He's
Just
the
your
guy who
voice directly
said,
to me. Yeah.
he's the guy who said, blessed are the poor in spirit,
Yeah.
for they shall be fed. It's all those things. And so.
For me, I would say when I'm encountering all these books and all this information that can be destabilizing, I tend to just keep in the back of my mind, keep it present at all times, that the experiences, this is a relationship with with God that is experiential.
Yeah.
And like nothing can take that.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, all this information is coming my way, but it's like that foundation of like, this has been my experience with God.
Absolutely.
And nothing is going to.
And that's the
just
eyes
like
to
nothing.
see.
There is no philosophical ideology that's going to destabilize my concept of you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right,
I know
exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Like
That's
you're a
right.
person right there, sitting there talking to me and helping me with things,
Yeah.
and it's like that is my relationship with God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like how are you going to destabilize that? Like,
And that's the discernment that's in the dream, where you can see the snakes.
see
Because I know some people, when it comes to philosophy, I almost say when it comes to philosophy, almost got a little country there. When it comes to philosophy, I remember one time I was talking to a guy who was going to a philosophy class here locally, and he was like, "How do we even know that the president is real?" And I'm like, "Dude, he's on the television." And he's like, "Do we really know that the television?" And I'm like, "Dude, where have you been?" He's like,
That existential dread be real
I
sometimes.
was just like, "All right, dude." People that
Go touch grass. Please touch grass.
I told him, and so it was like, he goes, I read a report. He goes, "Yeah, but that report could have just been written about anybody." And I was like, I had an aunt that worked with him.
And he's like,
he
"All
goes,
right."
No, he goes, "But I don't know your aunt."
Oh my
And
gosh.
So for me,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Dude, you need to get out of that class."
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thanks.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Colby.
Thank you, Colby.
That's good.
Coming and sharing
Appreciate
that
it.
dream. That's a great.
That's a good one.
That's a great dream, a great illustration
Yeah.
for what we're talking about. Yay! All right.
Later, man.
Thank you.
Do
Was
we have
there
any
I have
others?
one more that
more.
I've talked to, Miss
Okay.
Katie.
All
Katie.
right.
Do you want to come and talk about your dream? Yay!
Back there painting.
Okay, you can enter from this side, and then in our gray
Step
chair.
into the. Step
into
the
our living
chair.
room. Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
And then just, keep that mic close to your mouth.
Our wonderful technical
Okay.
team will assist your voice.
Welcome, Katie. Welcome.
This is our dear friend Katie.
Yes.
Yay. Yay. And she shared a dream with me that I felt like was really bright. It had a
Cool.
It had a
It was.
yeah. I think you should tell it.
Tell us your dream.
Well, I'm going to say it's different than most dreams that I have. Most dreams I have are warfare related, and that's usually for intercession or different reasons. So this one stuck out to me as something totally different. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a dream that I was on a trip with my parents and my sister and Emery, and we were going to the Arctic. This is not I've never been to the Arctic. I'd like to go, so that was kind of cool. But anyway, we were literally in the Arctic Circle on one of those cruise boats. I don't know if y'all have seen Antarctic cruises.
I've looked at them because
Me
it's on my
too.
bucket list to hit all 7 continents. So yeah,
Well, I mean,
about 10 grand a person.
so
If anyone out there feels led to donate to our Arctic fund,
yeah. Now
All
I
right,
have a dream, so
all right,
it's real.
yeah.
So it is a place I wanted to go. I have actually looked at these boats.
Yeah.
So I will say that, just if that matters. So it is something I've looked into, but we don't have plans to go. So anyway, we're on this boat. There's, it was a very, I will say it was a very bright dream. It was kind of weird, but there wasn't a lot of anxiety or fear in the dream. So everything's really pretty. It's this beautiful boat. The water's super clear around the boat. We're out in the middle of the ocean. We're not near anything. So anyway, there's floor-to-ceiling windows on the boat. And there's all these animals in the water. And for one thing, there were these huge fat puffins. And I mean, like, huge puffins. Like, puffins aren't that big. These things were big. And there was, like, silver, and I love puffins, but I don't even think they live in the exact region. Anyway, so they're right outside the boat. So we're watching them from these windows, and they're diving down, and they're catching these, like, big silver fish. And so, it's really pretty, having a good time. And I kind of leaned against one of the windows, and the window turns like it was going to open, but I kind of fell out, except I was hanging on with one arm, one leg onto the side of the boat, and then the other half was kind of like in the water. So I've got a leg and an arm in the water. And so my family's holding on to me. They're not trying to pull me up, but they're holding on to me. And yeah, they specifically, in the dream, because this was an incredibly vivid dream. So this lasted for it felt like a few minutes, where I'm half in and out of the water, and I'm like, they're not trying to pull me up. What is happening? So anyway, I'm kind of hanging onto the boat. Again, not really scared. The water around the boat was incredibly warm. And in the dream, I knew that it had its own, kind of atmosphere around the boat.
Ecosystem.
There we go. We'll go with ecosystem. So I was like, well, as long as I am staying, halfway on the boat, it's going to be okay because the water's warm. But if I fall, I'm going to get hypothermia, and that's, so in the dream, that's kind of where my head was. I was like, okay, I got to get back up. So they were kind of holding on to me. They weren't pulling me up. And then I'm like, all right, what do we do? And my dad's like casually calling somebody. He's like, yeah, we need some help. And it was just kind of like, wow, it was kind of slow. And again, I could feel the temperature of the water, like really specifically. And I could feel how cold it was underneath. And I'm like, I got to get back on the boat. And then all of a sudden, I just felt like a push from the water. And then I was on the boat. And that was the end of the dream.
Oh, wow. Wow, that took a swerve that I didn't
I know.
see.
I did not drown in the Arctic.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful. I just have to say, puffins of unusually large size.
I mean, I'm in.
I've seen puffins in the wild. They are really beautiful birds, but they're not that, like you said, they're only like, barely the size
When you said
of this
puffins,
table.
I was thinking pufferfish. I was not thinking.
Oh, no, like
puffins,
the puffins
birds.
you can go to Iceland and release, like those
No,
puffins.
I understand now.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are they in the water? Okay, got you.
So-
Cool. Okay, so from start to finish, you're on a yacht, on a big boat.
Yeah, nice boat.
Nice boat with your family, and you're on a tour of the Antarctic. You've never been there before, and you're excited. It's beautiful, it's vivid. It feels very real. You're looking out floor to ceiling windows in the boat, and there's just a lot of animals, puffer fins, not fish.
Puffer. Yeah.
Puffer.
Puffins.
Puffins.
Yeah. There we
The
go.
birds.
The birds.
Yep. And you get close to the window, and then you start falling out, and you're half in, half out of the boat, holding on. And your parents are kind of just like holding your hand, being like, there, it's okay, we're gonna get help. There's just not the sense of urgency.
No.
But it's very vivid that you can feel the atmosphere or the temperature of the water. It's very warm, but if you let go, you're gonna get hypothermia and die.
Yeah.
'Cause, away from the boat, it's very cold, and
It was the calmest I've ever been in a situation where I could get
Where you could
hypothermia.
get- yeah.
Yeah, that's what's so
Yeah.
that's what makes this dream kind of like a
Yeah.
fun and interesting one, because there's a hilarity.
Yeah, no,
about
for
It almost
sure.
seems
rather-
fun.
Yeah, like
Even though I'm like, oh my God, I don't have that oh my
That's-
God feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
That
part in the
makes
water lasted the longest, which was kind of, disappointing. And I'm like, this dream's not ending. I'm just sitting there
I'm
waiting.
still
And I'm
here.
like, I wonder when something's going to happen. And that's kind of how it felt. But I have been in situations where I've been in the water before and had storms come up and boats capsize. And one time I got
in dreams.
No, in real life.
Oh, my
and one time
gosh.
I got left behind.
You're a Florida resident. We should-
Yeah. I've had a lot of boating issues with.
And you're desensitized to hurricanes,
We've
right?
we've fallen off a boat, and then my uncle didn't notice one time when I was 10. So I've had situations in the water where I was panicked, but
Okay.
I don't know if
So you got
that's
boat trauma. real
Yeah, I
life
had some boat trauma, but I
But
guess
in the dream
I'm
you
over
did.
it.
But in the
Yeah,
dream,
I'm
yeah,
over
you're
it.
just
You're at peace. Okay, so you're holding on, half in, half out. Your dad's kind of, making sure that you don't move anywhere, but he's not getting you up.
No.
He's calling for help, but it's peaceful. And then all of a sudden, you feel this like shift or this movement in the water that gets you back up on the boat, and everything's okay.
Pretty much.
Okay, cool. What do y'all think?
Who wants to go first? Did you get anything off of it?
I mean, just the fact that you're in this place of wonder with your family and you're, for some reason, half in, half out kind of stands out to me. And the fact that your parents maybe even represent kind of a generational thing where they're holding on, but they're not pulling you up, I think is significant in the dream too. I'm just kind of saying some things that stood out to me. And then the fact that water, which in the Bible is living water, that's a representation of Holy Spirit, pushes you back in, I think is significant. But at the same time, it's something in the dream that you're kind of scared of actually drowning in. So I'm kind of having a hard time distinguishing between whether or not that's a good thing, the water specifically. But I know that for sure that push back onto the boat, back onto something that's steady, something that's with community, I think is really important and can represent the Lord.
I'm holding because I'm cheating a little bit because I have some natural knowledge.
natural. I
So
mean,
that's why.
the story of the dream is that like you're going somewhere with family that's kind of like it's a place that's foreign, and yet there's things I think you mentioned you've always wanted to see puffins too, yeah.
Or Antarctica,
Like
something I wanna
there's
do.
things that you've always wanted to see, and you're getting to see them. And there's this place where when you go in to really press into these things, it's like you get into a precarious situation. And yet the precarious situation is like your family has you at the same time.
Yeah.
And you don't there's a warmth there, so you're not uncomfortable, you're at peace. And maybe your family can't quite pull you out, but they're getting help, and it almost feels like as long as you hang on to family, you're gonna be okay. And as you do that and you just wait, there's gonna be a push that just gets you out of the precarious situation. And so to me, that would be like a dream where I would hold on to, like if I end up in life, like in a situation like that, where like I'm exploring, like I'm going somewhere and exploring new things that I've wanted to handle, and I end up in a precarious situation, to like receive from that dream that I don't need to panic,
Right.
like that I'm warm, and even though I have the thought that this could be bad, as long as I hold on to family and I wait, there's going to be some momentum and a push from,
Deliverance.
Yeah, there's going to be deliverance from it, and it's almost, like I said, it almost just feels it makes the precarious situation almost feel kind of fun a little bit,
Yeah.
No need to worry, no need to panic,
Yeah, and I'm cheating a little bit here because I interpreted a dream for your son on Thursday that had to
You
do.
told me about it last night. So.
Yeah, and I think that, and basically the gist of that dream was consider where you're going on this vacation with your family. That was the interpretation, the gist of it. And so like this dream to me is saying that to me, it goes along a little bit with this dream saying, hey, if this is something that you want to do, but it's really, if you look too closely at the things that you like, it's actually going to put you in a place where you're not going to fully enjoy it. You'll be half in, half out, and your family's not going to be able to really pull you out of it. It'll just, there's a level of protection, but it's just not the best.
Yeah,
So the
that's
spirit will
true.
come in and just throw you back up over on the boat. But to me, when I this is
A little bit of wisdom in there.
this is just when I look at those dreams combined. To me, I'm just telling you, it's saying that you should reconsider some of the direction that you're doing for your vacation with your family, because even though it might look like something you really want to do, you're not going to be able to fully enjoy it. And happiness of this dream makes me feel like there's a fullness of joy where it's a vacation that you don't feel like you have to have a vacation from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you've ever been on a trip where it's like, we're on vacation, but it's like, there's so many personal things where you're
That's
like,
every
what the heck did I just do?
vacation
I
with my family.
went through hell. So, I mean, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
to me, the Lord would give you a type of that dream because he wants you to really have a real rest.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be a real rest where you're not fighting to get back on the ship, so to speak.
Okay.
So
That makes sense.
I know it's a little bit of a, I'm just combining both of those dreams a little bit and just giving you some, that to me, that's what I think that dream's saying. But, I mean, regardless, you'll have a good vacation either since. One of them is just, you might have to have some pushing up on the boat. And, why have that struggle?
If I start enjoying it too much, it's like, hold on, let's stop this.
No, yeah. No, I'm just saying that
More
if it's something that
reasonable.
you look to intently at,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, we could do it. I don't know.
I mean, could you,
some other
because
options.
windows are some sort of boundary, right?
Well, Windows an
Could you,
opportunity.
and an opportunity,
Yeah.
but in the dream, it was this boundary that kept you kind
Yeah.
of safe. Like you could
Yeah.
see on the other side, but it kept you safe to some degree. So would a fair, because I'm learning too, would a fair interpretation or conversation with the Lord be like, where are the boundaries, Lord, that you don't want me
Where's
to
the boundary?
push?
Yeah.
That's a good.
You know what I mean?
like
That
I
I'm
like
Where
that.
should I not
safe?
press into?
Where should I not
Like,
press into?
yeah.
Yeah, I think I think
That's good.
That's
think
better than
that's-
what I just said.
I think that's a lot of wisdom, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember that.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, yeah. And like, if you're just watching, how does that look practically? Well, it means that, I tell the story all the time. I've always wanted to go to Mulberry Street in New York City. And we have relatives that live up in New York City, and we were supposed to, we had this trip planned. They're going to take us to eat Italian food where the mafia does. And so I was reading a bunch of mafia books, and I was like, hooray. And, probably in July, I was like, had this impression, like, we're not supposed to go. Even though I haven't been back, I was like, we're supposed to go. I don't think we're supposed to go. And my mom, she said, I had the same feeling. We would have gone there the weekend and been there probably during September 11th.
Wow.
Like we were going on the weekend and we were going that weekend and a little bit more days on that. And, that was just an impression. Now that's way more dramatic than what you're saying. But I'm just saying that it was something where I wanted to go to New York City, but the Lord was like, hey, I got something that's even better. You can, I forget what we did. But I forgot because of what happened. But obviously,
Yeah.
it's an explosive day. Anyway, so that's again, I like those kind of dreams because I think they give you strategy.
Yeah. I definitely want to go with strategy because it's not one of the optional trips. It's like, oh no, we bought your tickets, you're coming. So
Yeah.
I would definitely like to go in with strategy because of where we're going and what we're doing. So.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I like that about not pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And inviting the joy of the Lord, because I felt like that was
Yeah.
like the peace and the joy of the Lord and
Yeah.
the wonder
Yeah.
of the Lord too. That you're
Yeah.
in unity with your family at the very end, even though you pushed a boundary that maybe wasn't supposed to be pushed, you still got back on.
Yeah.
You were back in
safe.
line.
It was
You were
still
still
okay.
safe, you know?
Yeah.
I
There's
like,
still peace.
I like, and I like the other thing that's really good in the dream is the boat that you're on has its own ecosystem. I
Yeah.
mean, that's you. I mean, we have our own ecosystem we
Yeah.
go with.
Yeah.
Right.
And even like in the midst of something that's cold, a
Right.
place that's cold with a completely different atmosphere.
Sure. There's a warmth there.
There's a warmth
Yeah.
where you are where you're supposed to be with your family in the right
Yeah.
time, the right season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not to push a boundary to where you're going to get outside of that atmosphere.
Like it'll still be okay, but like, hey, maybe just stay inside the
Come
boat.
back.
I mean, it would have been like a perfect dream if I hadn't.
But we
been
don't want it to
hanging
be
there.
okay. We want it to be great.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
All right. Well, thanks, Katie. That
All
was
right. Well,
good.
thank you.
Miss Katie.
I appreciate it.
I like the warmth of that dream, like a hot cup of tea on a cold autumn evening. Like I hope you're enjoying while you're watching our dream. Do we have any others?
We had one that I haven't screened yet, but basically, no, those are the only two that I screened.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, thank
works.
you so much.
Yes,
We'll,
thank you.
What are
pick
we
back
looking
up.
like on time? Let's go through these other two dreams. We can interpret that one after the show. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Hannah. let's go. Boom. Let's go to these last two. Boom. Okay, this is a really good. Well, this is not a great name. This is a dream from Awan. This is his dream. It says, my dream begins as I'm leaving my university with my mom, and she tells me to walk into the parking lot. And then the girl that I like appears and says, I need to talk to you. She takes me to a private place and says, I like you, and I want to be with you. End of dream. Now.
Woo! No, just kidding.
Yes. These dreams can be great. So this is probably something we could do a whole show on.
Yeah.
And I have lots of thoughts. If you know me, I have lots of thoughts about revelation and relationships. Coming to a podcast near you soon. Dreams are one of the toughest ones to actually that I just in my experience that I trust. When you have a dream about a person that you're interested in, it's tough to go, oh yeah, that's the Lord, and He's saying that's going to happen. I would say 99% of the dreams that I have seen have been dreams that are on the other side, where this is just a dream that's coming from your soul that goes, hey, I'm interested in this person, and this is what I want to happen. People very frequently have dreams. I knew a guy who, whatever girl he was interested in, he had a dream that he was going to marry or be with her. And it was like, even if the girl changed every 2 weeks, and it's like, that's not how, that's not really how the Lord kind of operates. And also, so I would say this, I don't want to just, just totally dump it. But these are the dreams that I would say you want to kind of hold on loosely and see if there's any kind of actual progression in the relationship. Because if this dream gave you courage to go ahead and ask the girl out, well then, hey, good for you. Go ahead and do it. But if she says no, then don't keep holding on to it as if like, oh, this is the one, because that can lead you down a dark path. That could be. So I would say hold on to that. If it didn't inspire you courage to go ahead and ask that lady out, then I would say, hey, it might be something that you're just kind of desiring, but if you're not going to act on it, then, it's probably a carnal dream. If she comes to you, I would say that would be something to go, well, maybe I'll just hold on to that one a little bit. Or maybe I'll just, ask, and if it doesn't come to pass, then maybe the dream is wrong. Because I see that happen quite frequently where people will start to get, when there's no movement on a relationship, they'll start getting obsessed with a certain person, and they'll just dream and dream and dream and dream and dream. And very often one of the things you can see, the reason that it makes it, one of the distinctions that makes it false rather than a true dream from God saying, have faith, this is going to happen, is there's no real connection in the natural. It would be like if you asked a girl out, she said no, and you're not even friends after that, right? You're not friends. She's not in your circle, and you're just there, and there's no any kind of interaction, and you keep having dreams about her. That's not the Lord saying, hey, you need to stick with this. It's saying that, hey, there's some kind of idol there in your heart, which is a whole nother teaching. And it's just it's a carnal thing. However, to leave on a hopeful note, you can I do have a friend that when they were 14, they had a dream about the name of a person that they were going to marry, and they met that person when they were 19, and they're married today to this day. They're still married. And so when it comes to relationship dreams, I like to look for how specific is it, because here you have a dream super specific. It's also knowledge that they didn't have previously before, so that's a revelation. And
They weren't dreaming about somebody they already knew.
they weren't dreaming about somebody they already knew. It was totally new information.
Yeah.
Dreams about people that you already know are a little bit. I find, at least in the last 5 to 6 years of listening to dreams, God will more likely give you dreams about who you're not supposed to date
That's true.
rather than who you're supposed to date.
Yes.
I had this experience one time. Somebody wanted to set me up, and they brought a girl to class one time, and I mean, nice girl, whatever. But I go to bed that night, and they're like, "Hey, I want to set you up with this person." I go to bed that night, have a dream, and then I don't know this girl from Adam, really. But 10 minutes, she comes in, she's got this big diaper on that's full of crap, and then that's and she's like, "Do you want to give me a hug?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." In the dream, and so that just kind of said, well, like, wow, there's some stuff that really needs to be changed with this person before, like we're not gonna. Yeah. That was obviously like that one comes with some baggage that I don't need in my life, right? Mm-hmm. And so so I look at that too as like, hey, I'm not gonna waste my time with that, rather, because everybody's got issues. I'm sure in the spirit I have a diaper as well. I'm not hating on that person. Yeah. But it just goes to show, to me, it saves both people time, right? Mm-hmm. And so this person's they're married now, have multiple kids, so
that's awesome.
Hooray. Is that happy enough to end on? All right. And then do you want to take that last one, Danya?
Yeah, so we had another dream come in.
This is a great dream. It illustrates
I think
what we were
this
talking
is
about
a good
earlier.
one because it's really straightforward. And the dreamer wrote, "This happened this week. I dreamt that I arrived at a house to live alone. Suddenly, as I entered the house, I felt a demonic presence. Scared, I started organizing everything, and in one of the rooms, in the bedroom closet, there was a witchcraft altar, so I destroyed that altar. After destroying it, a horror movie was playing on the television. A woman appeared and told me, 'No, you shouldn't look into that. It's better to turn it off.' Later that night, that demonic presence grew stronger, laughing and trying to enter my room, but I was praying, and even though I opened the door, there was nothing but the shadow far from the room. I closed the door and continued praying." And so this dream, it's to me, and you can jump in at any time, but to me, this is a dream about your solitary life, the life that you live. And it's saying, if you will deal with these things, it'll push back darkness in your life. And so there's several things here. One of them is a witchcraft altar, and you destroy it. And, sometimes we can take witchcraft literal. It could be literal witchcraft, but also manipulation sometimes is also witchcraft. And we all deal with that. Like, we all have to deal with that in our hearts. I'm not saying I don't know the dreamer. They would know better, but they're willing to destroy it, And so dealing with manipulation or witchcraft, being careful what you're watching, being careful what goes into your eye gate, if you want to be really Christian with our verbiage, what we're giving our attention to. And wisdom is saying, hey, you don't need to look at that. Like, it's better to turn it off. And if you'll do these things, if you'll deal with these things in your heart, and you'll be careful with what you watch, with what you give your attention to, and you'll pray, that will push darkness out of your life and out of your personal space, And that's really redemptive, and it's really directional, like, you
Yeah.
know, so that's a good dream.
I love dreams like that. And I mean, like she said, there's not really a
Yeah.
lot to interpret there. It's pretty much,
It's straightforward, like,
hey,
do these things and watch the darkness go, and you know, like, and at the end I like that they just closed the door, like, you know, like, so there's a space where there's hope where you can just close the door on that entirely and just continue on praying and continue on in your intimacy with God and giving him your attention, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I like that. And so, okay, well, let's see what time it is. It's 8:05. What do you think, guys? We think we're at a stopping point, I feel
think
like,
so. I think
for tonight. And want to thank y'all for watching with us. Again, we do these from time to time where you'll see on our app, we'll put out there, the portal is open. And so you can send your dreams to us. And if we didn't get to your dream tonight on the show, we will try to send you an interpretation for the dreams that you sent. And so, again, thank you. Stay safe out there tonight. Worship the Lord in his holy array.
Yeah.
And we will catch you next time here at Christian Center. We've got one thing also to remember. We have a what we call a prophetic flex, where we have our prophetic teams next Thursday night, which is November the 6th. It'll be at 6:30. You can sign up on our app for that. And we cap it at, I think, 30 people. So get your you get your name on the list now, and we'll see you then. So God bless.
bye, y'all.
Bye.